Mama never say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
You are once again welcome to PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best in politics and latest updates. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like and also share for other members to watch. Don't forget to comment as well. Thank you. Global Info Analytics has also come out with another poll which put John Mahama ahead of Bawumia with 53.2%, leading Bawumia, which puts fear and panic in the NPP once again. Without much ado, join me listening to the analysis. Thank you. You can also join the discussion by sending us a voice note on 0277-128-777 or leave a comment at the comment section. And our team will meet you one-on-one if you have anything for us to publish as well. Thank you.
On Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's begin with a statement coming from the presidency a couple of hours ago. The presidency has downplayed reports of changes to the hierarchy of the Ghana Armed Forces. The presidency also denied reports that these changes are politically motivated, aimed at using soldiers to brutalize citizens during the 2024 polls. In a statement, Director of Communications at the presidency, UGIN, said that presidency does not intend to make any politically motivated changes, as claimed by some Ghanaians on social media. The publication alleges that a meeting was held at the presidency on Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, to discuss the so-called politically motivated changes in the Ghana Armed Forces. The statement notes, however, that the said meeting took place but not to discuss changes to the top hierarchy, but for the security heads to give their Christmas compliments to the president. It concluded that any change in the leadership of the Ghana Armed Forces is embarked upon by the president in accordance with the constitution and well-established conventions devoid of any political considerations. Earnestly, this reputation by ensuring that partisanship is eschewed from the operations of the Ghana Armed Forces. And this is a statement that came through not too long ago from the presidency, and it's something that we're keeping a close eye on as well, especially coming on the back of the widespread reports of these reported changes at the top hierarchy of the Ghana Armed Forces.
3FM 92.7.
Let's get into some of the issues now. A survey conducted by the Global Info Analytics reveals flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, is leading the New Patriotic Party's flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in the 2024 elections. The polls has the NDC flag bearer, John Mahama, leading in all regions except the Northeast region. Now, this is one thing that has generated a lot of conversation, especially because of the number of months we have ahead of election 2024 and matters arising. But the specific detail of this survey also does put John Dramani Mahama ahead in 15 out of the 16 regions, except the Northeast region. Now, M Gbande is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, is joining us on the telephone for a quick conversation on this, and will be joined shortly by my colleague Dennis Barberi, where Dan will run through the just a summary of the survey as we have it. Dennis, what have we seen, and what is the Global Info Analytics saying?
Well, Alfred, interesting revelations by the latest poll by Info Analytics, showing us for the first time some interesting developments in some constituencies or regions that are traditionally known to belong to some parties. So if you don't mind, I'll just run you quickly through some of the findings that have been made in that respect. So yes, we are beginning with the... Oh, let me pull that up. Pull that up really
right.
quickly.
While you do that, let me just get to Mustafa Gbande, who's connecting with us, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Mustafa, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening, Alfred, and thank you for having me. Happy New Year.
Many happy returns to you. Now, we're seeing the latest survey by the Global Info Analytics putting John Dramani Mahama, the flag bearer of your party, ahead of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in 15 out of the 16 regions. That's the number of the respondents to the survey that they conducted as well. How does this get to you as a party?
Thank you very much. That is commendable. That is good news for us in the NDC. That reflects the mood of the country and reflects the expectations of the people of Ghana. Given the current circumstances that we find ourselves in, the level of pervasive corruption, non-performance, the rate at which government has promised Ghanaians with high hopes, only to turn out that it was all a social fraud to secure the power of the people. The level at which arrogance and impunity is being displayed by appointees of government. The rate at which our democracy and the fundamental pillar of that democracy, which is the rule of law, has been turned upside down under a supposed lawyer. For me, reflect the report and reflect the results of the report. But again, let me emphasize that it is an election, and the NDC would not rest until it secures, protects, and defends the will of the people. The will of the people is for a change in government, a change that will better reflect their aspirations, a change that will seek the interests of Ghanaians, a change that will create jobs for the people, a change that will deal with the deficit in our medical infrastructure, a change that will reflect a reduction in corruption, a fight against corruption in public sector, a fight against public resources being shared among family members and appointees, which is what you see under Akufo-Addo and under his government. That is a change Ghanaians want, and the NDC will put itself. We have always done so, and once again will put itself in that position under the leadership and the presidency of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to ensure that that aspiration is met. That a university graduate should be able to walk into an environment created by government and to get a job. That my mother in the village should once again go to the hospital holding a hospital card under the National Health Insurance and get a medical treatment. Today, as we speak, the National Health Insurance has pulled out.
But Mustafa, there are some deductions in this survey which, in acknowledging that indeed, yes, it excites you as a party, yes, you're not going to sleep on it, take into consideration a number of things. And at this point, I welcome Dennis Miracles Abuaji, who's also joining us for a quick conversation on this. Dennis, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Dennis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Alfred.
Great. Now, Mustafa, take into consideration the timing of this this survey between the 22nd and 30th of December 2023. That's number one. And the survey encompassed just 5,881 respondents across the 16 regions and 82 constituencies. I mean, if you take that sample size into consideration, would you say that it is a representation of the entire sentiments and as it were, expressions of the Ghanaian people?
Well, technically, polls catalog strong feelings and opinions of people, largely in this country and our election. Polls from credible institutions have come to pass, just as prophecies come to pass. The NDC acknowledges the results of the polls, but our winning is grounded on hard work that we are putting in place, grounded on the fact that we are going to defend the vote of the Ghanaians. We are going into an election. We expect that on any day, Ghana, where we have reached, should have a credible, transparent, free and fair election. And we are confident that given the circumstance we find ourselves, if a free and fair election is organized today, we'll see His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as the next president of Ghana. Let me also add that even if we don't have the benefit of a transparent election, the NDP is currently in the position to protect and defend the vote of Ghanaians casted in its favor to ensure that a next government is formed by the NDP. It is widespread. It is open knowledge that President Akufo-Addo's regime is corrupt. It is open knowledge that when they told the Ghanaian people that they will give them one district, one factory, one village, one dam, one constituency, $1 million, that was fraud. I dare the Vice President, His Excellency Mahmoud Bawumia, to mount a podium to publicly account for the whereabouts of the one village, one dam. And he would have proved us wrong. As we speak, they know that it is fraud. They know that it is not existing. As we speak today, the priority of every Ghanaian is health care. The national health insurance have collapsed. The NPP knows that. Government appointees know that.
So if you say that the national insurance scheme has collapsed, that means that when you turn up at the hospital, it will not be accepted?
It can't even give you a common paracetamol to take. You cannot get. I'm speaking to your listeners, and they attest to the fact that what we are saying is a reality. I'll have my brother Miracle Abwaji come to defend all of it. But when the fundamentals are weak, the reality will expose you. It is only under His Excellency Nanado that we benefited under a pandemic, and that benefit went into the pocket of individual appointees at the expense of Ghanaians who have lost their lives, at the expense of Ghanaians who have lost their businesses, at the expense of Ghanaians who have suffered under that pandemic. It is under Akufo-Addo, a man who has failed to protect the public purse, a man who has exposed our national resources to most of his appointees to loot and take home for free. President Akufo-Addo.
So don't lose sight of the fundamental indications of this conversation. Mustafa, hold on a bit for me. Let me bring in Dennis on this. Dennis, the specific instance here is about this Global Info Analytics survey. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm just going to round it up for you. Essentially, this survey conducted between the 22nd and 30th of December 2023 captured the responses of some 5,881 persons across the 16 regions and 82 constituencies of the country, providing a comprehensive, snapshot of the evolving political landscape. And essentially, the outcome indicated per the Global Info Analytics survey that John Mahama had some 53.2% of the prospective votes, as again your candidate Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia trailing with 29.6%. Of the prospective votes of these respondents. Your take on this?
Well, Alfred, I think that for us, our position on polls, we think that polls can be skewed. It can be done well, it can be done wrongly, and it will all be right. It always depends on who is doing the polls in the first place. So who is doing the polls matters. And secondly, who the pollster is speaking to and where also matters. Sometimes even the time even matters. But whatever it is, polling is something you pick and read, and then you pick insights from where do not pay too much attention to the figures and the statistics. I mean, you've always known our position on this. We will read the commentary, read the issues, but the statistics really don't matter. I mean, what was the sample size again? You said 5,000 out of 82 or so constituencies. I mean, somebody could just go and do 11 of those constituencies from the Volta region and do maybe 4 from the OT region. That alone will give you 15. And straight away you know where the sentiment will go.
We're talking about 5,881 respondents.
Exactly. I mean, we're talking about 17 million voters, or thereabouts, And somebody could also go to the Ashanti region and go and pick 30 of the constituencies from the Ashanti region and go to Eastern region and pick 20 from there. And straight away, you know what the sentiment will be. So the numbers really do not matter much to us in these polls. What matters is that what are the sentiments, what are the commentary? Those are the things we would read, and then we would also put in a litmus test, identify where we think the gaps are, and then of course we have a long 11 months to elections. You know, in politics, one day makes a lot of difference, and then where we need to improve, we improve. Where we need to consolidate, we'll consolidate. Where we need to work on, we'll work on. I mean, there are several surveys we see every day. We receive survey reports from several institutions every day, and they all say different things, you know, at different times. They all give different indications at different times. And we are taking all of them on board without any disregard for any of them.
Talk about sentiments, because that's one thing you just mentioned. The survey also has a breakdown, compartmentalizes the responses of these respondents who were surveyed into a number of subtopics. So national sentiment is one of them. Under it says a prevailing sentiment of disillusionment is evident, with a staggering 68% of the Ghanaians who responded to this survey expressing concerns about the nation's trajectory. Concurrently, a majority of 63% disapprove of the incumbent president's performance. That's on sentiments, Dennis.
Yeah, I mean, like 5,000 people sentiment from some 82 constituencies there, about out of 70 million. We still have work to do. When you are a government in power, you never stop working until your last day, and these sentiments are not static. They always move and change, and so let's wait and see. Like I said, we're always receiving survey reports. We work with all of them. Info analytics is not the lord of service in Ghana. We are not the lords of views in Ghana. There are other several institutions that are also undertaking surveys. Some of them vary completely from statistics that is being generated by info analytics. But we would nevertheless disregard any polling. We would still work with it. I don't think that if today you go onto the streets, what info analytics report is saying is what you will find. That cannot be correct. Because the people of Ghana, I had my brother say plenty things, and sometimes they feel that we have very short memories and we cannot recall where we have come from. Like I said before, going into 2024 elections, the people of Ghana are going to evaluate where we have come from and where we are at the moment and where we are envisaged to go, taking into consideration all the elements, all the indicators, and then take a decision that between the NPP and NDC, who, in the current circumstance, which is contextualized, you realize that there's a global phenomenon happening, which every country is going through their own, and who, between these two political parties, could lead this country and sail us through these global challenges that we are all facing. I keep telling you, if we take sector by sector, except for the macro economy, which obviously is being impacted by the global macroeconomic disruption, there is no sector and the NDC can tell us they've done better than us. It's sometimes laughable when you hear the NDC think that they are going to come to power on the back of enumerating things that they think a government has not done. I have a list of close to about 700 promises that the NDC have in their manifestos, which they could not implement when they were in power. Today you hear the NDC and their flag bearer walk around, and they repeat the same promises they made in 2012, for which reason they were given power in 2012 and couldn't deliver until 2016. And they are repeating the same promises. They are repeating the same promises they made to teachers. They are repeating the same promises they made to doctors. In fact, they are repeating the same promises they made in terms of how they will turn around the economy. I hear about 24-hour economy. They mentioned it in their previous manifestos. How come they did not implement them? And so the people of Ghana are going to look at all of this. Fortunately, the NDC are presented to us a candidate that has been president before. And if we talk about corruption, this is a candidate that has been personally cited in corruption, not his appointees. He himself personally cited in corruption issues. There is his own Attorney General. His own Attorney General, Martin Amidu, indicated that at some point the president, who then he was a vice president to, instituted an investigation against him, the vice president. He himself has been cited in directly receiving gifts that are attributed to be bribes as a certain president. So when we get there, we are going to talk about all of these things. I can see that they're already out there on the streets. We wish them well. They should continue with the premature ejaculations. I'm sorry if the children are not sleeping, but very soon we would begin to deal with these issues. And I'm sure the people of Ghana are not so forgetful, to understand that. But for the NPP, over 100,000 Ghanaians will be on the street every year, dropping us from senior high school. To understand that, but for the NDC, tomorrow, some parents will be sitting by the roadside and watching other kids go to school and their children are unable to school, unable to go to senior high school. The people of Ghana recognize that. Today, you speak of national health insurance, and here you are, as I speak to you, if you don't have a national health insurance card, just pick your phone and you get a card right now to be able to access health care. But for the MPP, this will not be done. So instead of them coming to tell us that when they had the opportunity to come to power, these were the things that they were able to do, they are now talking about the things that they think the NPP could not do, for which reason, in their view, automatically bring them to power. That is very laughable.
Okay.
We are dealing with the issues that goes to directly impact the communities, directly impact the lives of our people in the localities. And very soon when we begin to unveil them and people begin to talk about them, that is when the NDC will realize that they are living in a different paradise altogether from reality.
Well, in the end, it will still be in the mandate of the Ghanaian people to decide what next to do. But I thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, thank you.
That's Dennis Miracles Abuaji is on Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's team. And Mustafa, so the quick one. 11 months, they say, is too long. In fact, it's enough time, according to Dennis, to change the sentiments of these people who responded to this particular survey. And that's the hope that this government is having. Is it enough to change the experiences of the Ghanaian people over the last 7 years?
Well, I didn't expect anything different from my brother, because it has always been the case. So, because the pool reflects their defeat, they will discredit it, they will disagree with it. But he is not talking about the recent assembly elections when the electorate, the same electorate, this case is not 5,800, it is Ghanaian people who went to vote. They rejected the government. They rejected pro-NPP assembly members. NDC is currently controlling almost all constituencies, districts across the country. It's a reflection that Ghanaians are tired of corruption. He is talking about promises made by the NDC in opposition. He is not talking about when the government promised the people food, came to power and actually stole what the Ghanaian people have. My brother Dennis and the NPP cannot exonerate the current government, the vice president and the president, from the fact that they have not stolen from the Ghanaian people. He accuses President Mahama of having been, an investigation having been instituted. Who told him that the NDC will not institute immediately an investigation against the current vice president and leader of the MPP for the loans that were collected for one village, one day, which were never done? Who told him that will not do that?
Okay.
So the Ghanaian people will speak at the end of the tunnel.
Indeed.
All the NDC is saying is that we will continue to work with the Ghanaian people. We will continue to partner with the Ghanaian people, finding lasting solutions to their problems, building trust for governance again when the wind of change is going to blow finally. Take these people out of government so that Ghana can rest. Currently, as we speak, our current country is suffocating. Our economy is suffocating because we have leaders who are benefiting and sucking the blood of our nation. Those leaders are led by His Excellency Akufo-Addo.
Well, thank you. And we'll see. We are in this year, by the end of the year, the Ghanaian people would be better placed to decide what the next phase will be. I appreciate your time as always. Mustafa Gbande is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Dennis Miracles Abuaji as well is on the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign team. Dennis Poaberi Wedam is my colleague here at Media General. He's been looking into the aspects of this survey. Well, let's just lay the foundation beyond what I've just said about the sample size and so on. There's a lot more detail that gives at least some context to this, is it not?
Yes. So, like I was saying, interesting revelations here. So the polls puts John Mahama in the lead. That is to say that the respondents have said that supposing that they were going to polls, John Mahama would lead with some 53.2%, while Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would come with 29.6%. Former Trade and Industry Minister Alan Kojo Chomanteng, with his Movement for Change, would come with 7.7%. And then nearly 2.4% of the voters intend to vote for other candidates, while 5.3% are undecided. Now, there was this part that focused on only first-time voters. That is to say, 2024 will be the first time they'll be casting ballots in the national election. So, in that respect, John Dramani Mahama leads with 50% of the votes. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia with 25%. Alan Chomanteng with 8%. 7% intend to vote for other candidates and 9% are undecided. Now, in what appears to be a new development in the poll, John Dramani Mahama leads in the Ashanti region and then the Eastern region. We do know that these two regions are traditionally MPP strongholds. There's never been a point in history where NDC won in those regions. But this poll is showing that John Dramani Mahama would lead in those two regions. That's Ashanti region and the Eastern region.
Ashanti and Eastern region.
Yes. And there's even a reason attributed to that. And the reason being that the MPP's poor performance may reflect growing concern about voter apathy in those regions. There was also a question that was asked as to whether voters would choose 24-hour economy or blue economy, blue or the digitalization, or the Great Transformational Plan, GTP, which is for Alan Chomanteng. Of those options, approximately 50% chose the 24-hour economy, which is obviously for John Mahama. 25% chose the blue economy, which is for Bawumia, and then 8% chose GTP. 17% said none of them. Now, on direction of the country, the poll shows that 68% of Ghanaians believe that the country is headed in the wrong direction, compared to 22% who believe that it is headed in the right direction. 10% said they did not have any opinion on that particular instance. On the performance of the president, it's also put on the line for consideration. The poll shows that 63% of voters disapproved of the president's performance, compared to 32% who approved of his performance, and 5% did not have an opinion in the matter. Now, prospective voters were also asked to describe their standard of living in the last 12 months. That is to say, in 2023, how their standard of living was. 54% said it had gotten worse. 20% said it had improved. 22% said it had not changed, and 4% did not have an opinion on that. Now, the report says that the poll shows a significant increase in the number of voters who said their standard of living had deteriorated. The previous one had indicated that 47%, but as of October 2023, had said that their standard of living had worsened. Now, this one shows that 54. So obviously, there's an increase. The poll also shows that the NDC is on course to form a majority in Parliament, as the generic poll predicts 52% of voters plan to vote for the NDC candidates in the 2024 election, up from 46. So it was 46 in October. Now it is 52, who say that the NDC would form the majority in Parliament. Now, while the MPP is currently on 31 as compared to 38, what that also means is that the MPP has seen a decline between the period of October 2023 and December 2023. On the question of whether the MPP can break the 8, 60% of voters said MPP will not break the 8, compared to 21% who said yes, and there was some 19% who did not have an opinion on this matter. The poll also shows a growing concern of voters in the Ghana Police Service, as 58 say they have confidence in the service to manage the 2024 election, compared to 32 who did not have confidence in the force, while 10% did not have an opinion. So even when you add those without an opinion to those who say no, you still have those who have confidence in the police to manage the election in the majority.
As in providing security
yes,
for the
election in the overwhelming majority of 58%. For the Electoral Commission, majority of voters, 54%, have confidence in the elections management body, compared to 38 who have no confidence, and 8% did not have an opinion. Again, when you do the computation, you'd realize that the people who have confidence in the EC to properly manage the election are in the majority of 54. even those without an opinion, if they decide to change their opinion to be in the negative, it still puts those who have confidence in the EC in the majority.
I see. Now, it's pretty interesting the direction and the picture that this paints. Dennis, I'm going to come back to you so we conclude, but let's stay a bit further on issues with elections, because the vetting of parliamentary aspirants of the governing Patriotic Party in the Greater Accra region has come to an end. Sitting MPs and fresh aspirants.
Thank you for watching. Really appreciate your time. Don't forget to comment as well, share for other members to watch, and also like it as well. Thank you.
I'm not PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal le Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.